Hey guys, Gary Lucas with Obsidian Painting here. Essentially, this is the continuation of the painting a tabletop miniature, and so let's get right into it. So right now, I'm just base coating the gray parts. I'm using Adeptus Battle Gray, and I'm base coating the cartridge for the gun, the brace for it there, the shoulder thinger. I am also going to do the handle right there, and essentially any part that's going to be leather. So I'm going to do the boots, the belt, the knife thing, the spare cartridge, and the straps for the canteen. So essentially we're just using the same technique as we were before, just thin down the paint slightly so that way it goes on with a more even coat, and it's not clogging up the details. And you're going to use maybe a couple layers, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. That's more preferable than using one thick layer of paint to kind of paint on, because that's going to ruin your detail. It's going to make it so the surface is almost going to be unpaintable. Because the thicker the paint you put on, the more plasticky it gets, because there's plastic in the paint, and that's the acrylic part of the paint. That's why it's called acrylic paint, is they actually use plastic in it as kind of like a way for it to kind of adhere to things. I don't know. I have no idea. But nonetheless, they put plastic in it. So if you use too much paint, it'll look plasticky, and it'll actually have a plastic feel to it. And essentially, any paint you put on it after that will either go slide off if it's too watery, or just make it look stupid because there's so much paint on it. So thin your paints down. And now I'm just applying the metal. I don't treat metallics any different than I treat any other paint, because it's the same. The only difference is it's got some flecks of aluminum or something in it. But I just thin it down just a little bit just to make it flow, and then I just paint it on like normal. No special weird tricks or anything. I'm gonna get those two things down there on both sides. And I do use separate water and a separate brush for painting metallics, because I don't want the metallic pigments to get into my normal paint. And now I'm just painting the Deneb stone onto the eagle things with the skulls. I'm going to paint that on the helmet, on the gun, and that's about it. That'll be the base for the white. Now I'm just going to apply a wash. This is going to be the shading technique, and essentially there's a quick little technique I use for getting the black on the shoulder pads there, and I'm going to use Bedazzled Black here on the green and on the gray. And the technique is essentially I just use one quick motion, and I bring the brush where I want the pigment, and I just do a quick movement right across. And watch. Yeah. And then I'll probably show you in a second. I don't know. But essentially you want to put this on liberally, but also don't put too much on, because the way the washes work is they'll pool and they'll actually harden and leave like a layer. It's kind of gross. Don't do it. Just put a little bit on. A little goes a long way. And the Bedazzled Black goes on both the green and the gray. Now I'm going to use Devlin Mud on the brown, so the khakis there. And I'm also going to use it on the flesh. And the Devlin Mud's actually going to bring out some really nice tones in the skin, and I'm sure you'll love it. And once again, you just want to put it on slightly liberally, but not too liberally. And I'm going to let that flow into the recesses, and then let that dry, and then our shading process will have ended. And here's what it looks like once it dries. And you know what? If you're painting a large army, just once you're at this stage, you could be done. You could be done right here. Base the miniature and you're good to go. There's nothing wrong with this. At least your miniature's painted. It's got some paint on it. It'll look okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good tabletop mini. But we're going to take it a step further in the next video, and we're going to highlight it. Alright, see you next time.